Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Friday, September. It's December 8th. And I thought today we would talk about, I've been asked it. I wish I had your confidence. I wish I knew how to approach business like you do. And, well, stay tuned because it's more than what you think, right? All right.
Hey, welcome to Coffee. My name is Eric. Today I'd like to talk about changing self-confidence.
A lot of the self confidence and business savvy, business sense, comes with, excuse me, comes with experience, all right? And in order to gain experience, it takes time. And the older you get, if you've experienced anything, you should have, is you've learned to recognize certain things and you know how to react to them. And the self confidence comes from when I was younger, I was more trying to impress people than just be myself. The thing about business is some people get it right the first time, but they're very few. They end up, the people that become successful at what they do usually don't do it right out of the box. I have failed more times than I have succeeded. But I've learned to take those failings and turn them into a positive of a learning lesson. And that's what life is. It's an ongoing learning lesson. Some people, it takes longer to learn than others. Some people pick it up quick, spot what they did wrong, and then retry it a different way. And then I've seen people try it a certain way, have it fail, and then think that if they try it again the same way, they're going to get a different result. And they don't, and they give up. That's the biggest thing is never give up. Never give up on your dream and never give up on something that is important to you. Don't settle. We go back to no regrets. And that is, we don't want to look back and say, I wish I would have continued doing this or I wish I would have continued doing that. What's stopping you today? And this isn't geared just towards young people. But the reason that if you're younger and you're looking up to me wishing that you had my wisdom and self-confidence, and all I can tell you is it comes from experience. And I have a lot more experience. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because if you're younger, quite a bit younger, in your teens, 20s, early 30s, you've got to experience a lot of things to draw from, to say, aha, let's do it this way. Or, no, been there, done that before. We don't want to do that. It's kind of as simple as the Wright brothers and their flying machine. If you go watch videos on those two brothers, they crashed more planes than they flew. But they didn't give up. They knew that something, they had to change this or change that. And eventually, with perseverance, they got it to fly. And look where we are today because of them. You know, we've got jets. But back then, the idea of creating something that flew in the sky was crazy. And I think a lot of people deemed these two brothers as crazy. They probably were, you know. But they saw something that nobody else did that really interested them. And they had watched the birds and they did all these drawings, these sketches, and that's where it started. It didn't start by, you know, the Wright brothers creating this flying machine the first time out and voila, right? But yeah, a lot of us in life expect that to happen. The first time out, we expect to be successful. And if we aren't successful, and I blame this as not being taught anymore, okay? We need to teach our kids differently. And when I say differently, I mean you need to let the child fail. You're like, oh no, not my kids. You know, I don't want them to fail and feel bad. You're hurting them in the end. It's taking them farther and later in life to learn the life experiences that they're going to need to persevere at whatever they want to do. I mean, you got moms and dads that are so worried. I mean, it is a scary world. I will tell you that. You know, when I hear about kids being kidnapped for the slave trades and all this other stuff, you know, and really bad people out there and what they can do to a kid. My idea is just shoot them and get rid of them. Well, that's me. But a lot of parents are so worried about their child getting hurt or abducted or this or that, you know. And it goes through their minds because they're seeing a lot of it on TV and the internet and this. That they're not letting the kid fail. Mm-hmm. They're not letting the kid try new things. I mean, I can remember teaching the kids just the difference between hot and cold by using the faucet. I turned the cold on and I'd say, this is cold. And then I'd turn the hot on. It wasn't hot, but it was warm. Not burn warm, just lukewarm. I'd say, that's hot. As simple as those things. Because the child is always learning. It's inquisitive. It wants to try all these things. And you as a parent need to let that develop. See, if somebody doesn't have to put forth much of an effort to succeed today, then they're not going to. And this goes back to the way we're teaching and raising our kids today. And this is not, let's get down on mom and dad. Not even close. This is about the society, the societary change of where we have to give trophies to everybody. We have to change the grades based on the color of your skin. We have to accept people into certain things because of the color of their skin or the gender or the identify as or I don't know how you guys keep all this stuff together here, but I think you know where I'm headed. Is that we've taught our kids that they don't need to be any better than anybody else. They don't need to try harder than anybody else. We're teaching the kids they don't even have to try at all. And we're just going to pass you right through school, right through high school. And then we're going to throw you into college. And what's going on in college campuses these days? I never saw that when I went to college. Nope. And we had good teachers that were there. And we have super teachers if they were just left to teach reading, writing, arithmetic, history, and not all this other crap that we are imposing on that child. This gender stuff being introduced at such an early age. What happened to letting your kids be kids? Huh? What happened to letting the child decide when they get to be 18 or 21, whatever they want to do, then do it? Because my feeling is, as a parent, if you're responsible for your child now till you're 26, then maybe voting rights and everything else should be taken away from that child till they're 26. You see what I'm saying? I mean, at 18, you were considered an adult. 18, you can go to war. But you can't smoke and you can't drink a beer. Makes sense, don't it? So we learn from our experiences. And if we're not given the chance to try different things, then we will never experience why it didn't work and how to fix it. It's like, cooking a great hamburger on the grill. I have the confidence to go out and flip hamburgers and do an excellent job on the grill, and you will love it. But I've done it hundreds of times. This is not my first time of going out and throwing something on the grill and leaving it and coming back where the flames had gotten so hot, and it has in the past, that all you got left is this tiny little burnt hockey puck. Because you had the flames on high, and when the grease started splattering down into the where the flames were, it caught the hamburger on fire. I learned you cannot have the heat on high, and you cannot leave it unattended. But I've had that happen more than once, of where I get sidetracked on other stuff. And that probably is not going to be the last time that I burn a hamburger on the grill. But the key here is I learned from doing it. I learned from my failings of how to cook a great hamburger. And that is season it right, stay with it, let it get to where she starts juicing up on top, flip it over, some more seasoning, let her cook up, and depending on whether you like it medium rare, or however, I can cook it whatever way you want. So your self-confidence comes from experience. And if you're younger and you haven't had the chance to experience a lot of things in life, then you're going to come at it differently than someone that, let's say, is streetwise, that has been doing it for a while has failed at it, has learned to look at it in a positive way of why did I fail, and then dissect it, and then try it again with a different tweak, a different whatever you found that you think may have been it. And you keep a running log, because if you get further the second time but you still fail, it's a positive, because now you've gotten farther. Okay, so I know I tweaked this and it got me to this point. So you see what I'm saying? It's stepping stones. Now, the confidence part comes when you have that aha moment of where you say, I don't care what other people think. And that's not in a negative way. I do care about what other people think, but I don't care what they say, I guess. I tend to try to stay happy most of the time. It's learning to live in your own skin and like who you are. And we talked about that here in just a video yesterday. It's learning to like and learning to love yourself. Because once you have mastered that, and it took me a while, because I didn't like myself. I didn't love myself. But I had the ability to change into somebody that I did like and that I did love. And once you have that base covered, then you can go outward with it. And a lot of times, like I told you, people gravitate towards you because you are self-confident. Because you are being the real you. You're not trying to be somebody else. And anybody that knows me knows that they're going to get a honest answer if they ask a specific question. And that's not to say that I know all the answers. Because I don't. If anything that I've learned up to this point is there's so much to learn out there. There's so much new things to try. You could never do it in your lifetime. But I think we're hurting ourselves as a society with our kids of not letting them be creative and coming up with new things. I mean, my generation, you had the development of, Bill Gates with Microsoft, Brazo with Amazon. I can remember when Amazon was just a college bookstore online that carried a couple hundred books. And how that company grew. Because the guy had vision. And I think if we're teaching our kids that it's okay to settle, then how can they achieve greatness? How can you achieve greatness if you settle? I mean, if you're happy and content, and you don't have anything on your bucket list that you want to do, and you feel like you're settling, who am I to say you're wrong? But if you go through life and you're trying to learn new things, and if you try something and it doesn't work, instead of trying to figure out why it didn't work and then trying it a different way or a different angle, you settle. You settle with, it wasn't meant to be. And I see that a lot with people. When you see people, because you probably heard this a lot too, right? Oh, how come that person's so successful? They must have, had rich parents or this or that. And it's never about the inquisitive mind of a child wanting to try to make something new out of something old. Now with Bill Gates, they worked out of their garage, and back then you had it was kind of a big thing back when I was younger, building radios from scratch and, with fuses and condensers and all the other stuff there. But you could buy the kit and create what you wanted. And then we had Legos. Legos, you could take and interlock them and build these huge things. And that was teaching the child at an early age that you can become whomever you would like to be. And you can build, you can develop, you can change the world if you so desire to. My generation was taught that to go for it. I mean, there's a difference. There's a reason why we live in the greatest country in the world, in the USA. I'm biased, yes. But I believe this is the best country in the world. We have the best people, we have freedoms, and we can decide to do it or not do it. You take, China. You take Russia. You take a lot of these communist countries, North Korea. They're not teaching their kids at an early age that they can be whomever they want to be. They are taught to basically not think, not be creative, not be unique. You are, right from parents being told they can only have one child, to the government deciding on what that child is going to become and what that child is going to do. And then even the lower sense of it is the Uyghurs, that they're treated like crap. But China, Russia, North Korea will never come up with any new technologies, anything new at all. Because they're not allowing their population to be unique and be creative. They're all the same. The only way China, Russia, and North Korea would have anything of new technology is by stealing it from somebody else or reverse engineering something and replicating it, or even better yet, having our manufacturing go there, and part of the deal is you have to show the Chinese government the blueprints on how to do it and how to create it. That's how they're beating us. is we're handing it to them, right? And that's what I mean about the direction that we're kind of going with our kids. We're not allowing them to be creative. We're telling everybody, you're all the same. We don't want anybody to be an overachiever. And nobody's an underachiever. And we're teaching our kids just to settle and, fit in. And that's the drift of it today, And we need to, as a society, we need to change the way our kids are being taught. I think back in my time that most of us, that when we reached 18, that the same mentality, you're because you're not getting to experience stuff, that is pushing you, instead of being 18 and having some wisdom, some experiences. You're now into your mid to late 20s and 30s before you get to the point that most of us that were 18 years of age back years ago in 1981, that because you haven't been allowed to experience it. Your parents haven't allowed you to fail. You've been taught it's okay to settle. And when you're in business, the last thing on your mind is settling for second best. You're always going to strive for better, not second best. Just give that some thought. And on that note, you guys have a great day. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. All right.